Saransk, September 1, 2005. Kristina Fedyakina, a 20-year-old pedagogical institute student, was walking home alone late at night. She was coming back from a birthday celebration for a friend where she had an argument with her boyfriend, Oleg. On the way, she met a polite guy who offered to walk her home. Feeling upset, the girl decided not to refuse him, since it was already almost night outside and it was safer to walk with someone than alone. But the girl never made it home. Right in front of the entrance, this stranger attacked Kristina. He dragged her into the nearby bushes and assaulted her. After he was done, the man let her go. The shocked girl calmly walked back to the house after what happened, but the man suddenly realized he was experiencing an unprecedented physical and emotional high. He quickly caught up with Fedyakina, assaulted her again, and then left. The man strangled her with the strap of her brand new purse, from which he took her wallet, cell phone, and jewelry. He took the ring off her hand, her earrings, and her gold cross necklace. Then he fled the scene of the crime. Kristina Fedyakina's body lay there until morning. What was just as terrible was that she was found by children who were peacefully on their way to school that day. One of the first suspects was Kristina's boyfriend. His identity was established immediately. He was found, brought to the station, and questioned. They took his fingerprints and conducted a series of examinations to determine his status, suspect or witness. The experts thoroughly examined all of the young man's clothing. He was checked both by investigative and operational means. They checked his alibi, questioned his relatives and himself, and even conducted a psychophysiological examination using a polygraph. His alibi was confirmed and the investigators began working on other theories. The detectives searched for the criminal among those previously convicted of sexual assault, robbery, and armed attacks. The investigators focused on the most daring and notorious, those able to strangle a girl with her own bag beneath her apartment windows. Unfortunately, due to YouTube's censorship, I can't show some documentary materials, so I'll leave them in the Telegram channel Strashnoti. Go ahead, subscribe and watch. The link is below the video. The talks about the death of Fedyakina hadn't died down in the city yet when another tragedy happened. A week later, in the same area, passers-by discovered a second body. It was 16-year-old Yekaterina Tarasova. She had recently come to Saransk from a small village. The girl dreamed of being a hairdresser in a local beauty salon. The story was almost exactly repeated. A pleasant-looking and sociable man offered to accompany her late in the evening, and in the first deserted place he came across, he assaulted her. Yekaterina died. The cruel criminal also strangled Tarasova with the sleeves of her red crimson windbreaker. He stole jewelry, earrings, a couple of rings, and a small amount of money from her purse. Investigators determined where the girl was last seen and traced her route from her friend's house. The search was difficult since the friend was her only contact. The investigative team checked for connections between the victims. The girls did not know each other. They had nothing in common except the cause of death. Both of them were first assaulted and then strangled with items from their own clothing. The man made a fatal mistake for himself. He did not use contraception, so when the police received the results of the examination, they realized that both crimes were committed by the same person. A new maniac appeared in the city and terrible rumors quickly spread. Relatives were afraid to let the girls go out alone. Detectives checked dozens of people every day, but soon a new crime occurred. The body was discovered a week after the last death. The maniac was clearly showing his signature and challenging the investigation. The next crime occurred on September 22, 2005. On the street, the maniac met 19-year-old Yulia Lanchina. Coincidentally, the girl was a classmate of his first victim, Kristina Fedyakina. Yulia talked with her relatives and friends about her acquaintance's death, according to their memories. Lanchina devised her own escape from the maniac by pretending to be mentally challenged. But that was just a theory. In practice, this plan failed. The maniac seemed like a very pleasant and nice person to her, so Yulia gladly went with her new suitor to a cafe and then to a nightclub. The girl died like the others. Her body was found only meters from her home. The maniac strangled Lanchina with her own shoelace, stole her money, and took her earrings and rings. After the third body was discovered, all police departments in the city were focused on solving the crime. There were increased patrols on the streets, and the police in Saransk even tried to catch the maniac using female police officers as bait. Any suspicious individuals who tried to talk to the undercover female officers were detained and taken to the nearest police stations. But this approach turned out to be a dead end. The police received no information about new victims. To solve the crime, the investigators began studying similar crimes committed in our country. Meanwhile, the detectives searched for personal belongings and jewelry stolen by the maniac. The Saransk criminal had no intention of stopping his actions, but fate intervened in his plans. On September 24, 2005, he stole a car from the auto repair shop where he worked, intending to take it for a ride. He lost control of the vehicle and crashed into a pole at high speed, which landed him in the hospital for 7 months. He left the hospital at the end of April 2006. He was discharged with a disability. After the accident, he limped badly. He couldn't sit idle for long, so on May 4 he attacked 20-year-old Yelena Sosnina. The girl miraculously broke free and escaped. The maniac couldn't catch up with her because of his limp, so he had to settle for the handbag he managed to get. The victim not only managed to escape, but also remembered the attacker well. The investigators got a description of his appearance and clothing, and after some time, a composite sketch of the criminal. The maniac hid the last victim's phone at his home. One day, the man's partner Yelena Arkipovna found it, turned it on and made a call. She didn't know that Sosnina had already filed a robbery report, and the police were tracking the device and would arrive at the location as soon as they detected it. It is worth noting that the maniac gave some of the stolen items from his victims to Yelena, while he kept the rest in another apartment. At first, Arkhipova denied everything to investigators, claiming she bought the phone from an unknown man for 3,000 rubles, but soon admitted her partner brought it. However, the woman couldn't say where he was. The man was put on the federal wanted list on suspicion of a series of murders. Ambushes were set up at his mother's residence in Saransk and at his partner's apartment, but the criminal, sensing surveillance, stopped appearing there. The fact that the authorities were already on his trail did not stop the man from committing another similar crime. He attacked Yelena Toropova, who was walking with her 7-year-old daughter Milena. He assaulted Toropova in front of the crying child. He didn't take her life out of pity for her daughter, but only took her handbag. The criminal's loot was an MP3 player, a small amount of money, and jewelry. That same night, the man made another attempt at assault. The maniac attacked a girl in the elevator, but she managed to kick him in the groin and escape. When one of the residents came out onto the stairwell 1 floor above, the criminal once again fled the scene. The maniac was apprehended in July 2006. It turned out to be 21-year-old Dmitry Balakin. The man was born on February 24, 1985 in the Moldovan Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic. He was the middle child in the family and had 2 brothers. According to eyewitnesses, in his youth, the young man was known for his aggressiveness, and by high school he started taking money first from younger students and weaker classmates, and later from passers-by. From 2000 to 2002, Dmitry Balakin was prosecuted 4 times, but since he was a minor, he always got off with just warnings and suspended sentences. In October 2002, hoping to get rid of problems with law enforcement, the family moved to the Nizhny Novgorod region. Dmitry later claimed that his mother saved him from the police officers who demanded that he turn in his criminal friends. But in reality, the explanation was simpler. The woman met a suitor who suggested that she move with him to the city of Kulebaki. However, even there, Balakin did not calm down, and just a few days after moving, he committed an armed robbery against 2 women on the street, stole valuable items, and was detained by police officers. The court sentenced him to 2 years in a penal colony, but on October 15, 2004, he was released on parole for good behavior. After leaving the penal colony for some time, Balakin lived with his mother and brothers in Nizhny Novgorod, but moved to Saransk in March 2005. He worked as a night watchman at a construction site, then as an auto mechanic. After some time, he met 28-year-old Yelena Arkhipova. She was a painter, 10 years older than him, and had a teenage son. After a short time, they started living together. Dmitry was described very positively by the neighbors. According to the young man, at that time he sincerely intended to change his ways, stop stealing cars like he did in his youth, and give up robberies. He wanted to marry Yelena Arkhipova, raise her son, and even have children together. But he couldn't keep it up for long. He said he soon lost control in an outburst and began taking lives. July 20, 2006. Police officers who were assigned to keep watch at the maniac's mother's apartment in Saransk detained a young woman who tried to enter the apartment. She turned out to be Balakin's younger brother's girlfriend. Sent by Dmitry to check the apartment, she couldn't lie to the police for long and therefore revealed that Dmitry was hiding in his brother's rented apartment. The police officers immediately went to the address given by the girl, and just a few hours later, the maniac was arrested. During the investigation of the 3 murders, the investigators developed 11 theories, conducted 51 searches, 200 experiments, questioned more than 900 witnesses, and checked 272 suspects for involvement. At first, Balakin denied involvement in the murders and attacks. However, Elena Sosnina, Elena Toropova, and Maria Perminova identified Balakin as the criminal who attacked them. A DNA test was also conducted, which showed that the DNA from the semen found at the scene of Kristina Fedyakina's murder completely matched the DNA of Balakin's semen. Realizing that all the evidence was in the hands of the investigators and there was no point in lying anymore, Dmitry began to give a confession. According to him, he was cleansing the world of sinful girls and planned to continue doing so. The maniac tried to pretend to be insane, but the psychiatric examination found him to be completely sane. The city breathed a sigh of relief, and the detectives were amazed by the criminal's persistence. Balakin said that he was already planning a new crime. September 25, 2006. The court found the man guilty of 3 murders and 3 assaults and sentenced him to life imprisonment in a high-security colony. Balakin filed appeals, but the Supreme Court upheld the verdict. Initially, the man served his sentence in the Mordovian Zone Correctional Colony in the village of Sosnovka, Zubovo-Polyansky District, Republic of Mordovia. But later he was transferred to the correctional colony, 6th colony known as Tobevsky Central, where as of 2017 he continued to serve his sentence. Journalists sometimes visit him. Balakin tells them he doesn't recall taking lives, only being overwhelmed by flashes. Dmitry says, honestly, it's like schizophrenia. He also complains that his partner no longer sends him packages and asks for help finding pen pals, preferably lawyers or religious people.